So many of you may have heard about this new AI called DeepSeek taking the #1 place in the App Store, going ahead of ChatGPT. And some of you may be curious, what is the difference here? What is DeepSeek? Is it something I should be using? Is it better than ChatGPT? Or is it basically just the same thing but with a different name? Well, luckily for you, I am here to explain to you how they both actually work, how they think, and which one you should use. So hopefully by the end of this video, you'll have an understanding of not only how these AIs work, but also why they behave the way that they do. So jumping in, before we compare them, let's just talk about where these AIs come from and why they were built in the first place. ChatGPT, developed by OpenAI, is a US-based artificial intelligence research company originally released in November 2022, with the latest version being GPT-4 Turbo, which is the fastest, cheapest, and most optimized version of ChatGPT. It's backed by Microsoft, which means you'll find ChatGPT integrated into tools like Microsoft Copilot, Bing, and also Apple now backing ChatGPT a little bit with it integrated into Apple Intelligence. So if you've got the latest iPhones with the latest software updates and you're aware of Apple Intelligence kind of being a feature that's a massive thing with the iPhone this year, you do have direct access to ChatGPT through Apple Intelligence. So ChatGPT has become really, really widespread in tech. DeepSeek, which was created by DeepSeek, a Chinese AI research company that was started in 2023. What makes it different is that it's open source, and this basically means that anyone can download it, modify it, and run it on their own hardware. It's designed to focus on logic-based reasoning, math, and programming tasks more than anything else. So the key differences here is that ChatGPT is more polished. It's a user-friendly AI assistant that's really made for everyone, and it's a lot more versatile in terms of the features that it offers that I'll get to in a second. DeepSeek, however, is a more technical AI that's great for people who are programmers and developers and just more technical users. In terms of the user experience and how they feel to use, when it comes to the interface and availability, ChatGPT is really easily accessible through web apps, mobile apps, Microsoft Edge, Apple Intelligence. You do need an OpenAI account to use it, and there's a free version and there's a paid version. DeepSeek, however, a little bit different. You can use a public demo online. You also have an app for the iPhone, but not one for Android as of right now. But because it's open source, developers can also download it and run it on their own servers. When it comes to response speed, ChatGPT is fast, but the free version can be slow during peak times. But if you pay for it, then you do get a much quicker experience. DeepSeek is optimized for efficiency, meaning it responds quickly, especially for short, logic-based queries. However, once you start giving more complicated tasks to DeepSeek versus ChatGPT, ChatGPT does maintain the speed that it always has, quite fast, whereas DeepSeek does end up slowing down a little bit, and you'll get why in a second. When it comes to writing and creativity, ChatGPT is better for storytelling, essays, and casual conversations because it generates human-like text and can even add some humor, personality, and creativity to it, whereas DeepSeek is a lot more structured and logical, lacking that human-like element. It excels more at writing clean, well-formatted explanations, technical answers, and structured content, but it isn't as natural in its conversations. When it comes to censorship and content restrictions, ChatGPT is heavily moderated to avoid misinformation, hate speech, and controversial topics. DeepSeek is also very moderated and very sensitive to topics related to China, politically sensitive topics related to China, but it allows more freedom in discussing technical topics that ChatGPT sometimes does restrict. In terms of the features that it offers, ChatGPT does also offer the ability to have a verbal conversation with it rather than just texting, which kind of adds that user friendliness and that versatility. You can kind of just sit there, have a little brainstorming session while you're driving or while you're just sat there talking. It also allows you to use AI through the camera, and there's just a lot more features with ChatGPT, and that's kind of where it takes you that user friendliness. For the average consumer, for the average user, ChatGPT is the better choice just based off of that. But the most interesting difference between the two is how they think, the technological foundations for how they operate. Both ChatGPT and DeepSeek R1 use something called a transformer model, which is a type of deep learning AI designed to process and generate human-like text. But what exactly does that mean? Imagine reading a sentence, "The cat sat on the mat." A traditional AI would process each word one by one from left to right, like a person reading a book. Whereas a transformer model doesn't do that. Instead, it looks at the entire sentence at once and tries to understand the relationship between the words. Why does this matter? Well, this method allows AI to predict words more accurately and respond much faster because they aren't just guessing word by word, they're analyzing entire structures of meaning at once. Now, even though both ChatGPT and DeepSeek R1 use transformers, they have very different goals in how they use them. And a lot of this comes down to training data. So how an AI thinks is heavily influenced by what it was trained on. Think of AI models like students in school. What they're taught shapes how they answer questions. When it comes to ChatGPT's training data, they use massive data sets, books, internet articles, research papers, Wikipedia, web forums, just the entire internet essentially. And it's very much general purpose AI. Its goal is to be very versatile in its ability to respond naturally to any kind of question. We're talking about math, something more creative, all that sort of stuff. On top of all of this, ChatGPT is fine-tuned with reinforcement learning from human feedback. So that means real humans helped it learn how to give more helpful, polite, and ethical responses. And the outcome of this is ChatGPT feels very natural because it mimics the way people talk and write. It tries to be helpful, even if it doesn't know the answer, which sometimes leads to it making things up. And that's where you lead to a problem where you kind of see that ChatGPT is less accurate than DeepSeek. And you'll understand that when you look at the data that DeepSeek's been trained on. The datasets for DeepSeek are heavily focused on maths, programming, and logical reasoning. This is a really, really big difference here. It's more focused on the accuracy rather than the creativity, therefore it's less likely to make things up. It's designed to think the same way a mathematician does, not like a writer. So the outcome here is that DeepSeek is a more structured and precise AI, especially for logical problems. It won't try and fill in the blanks like ChatGPT does. It prefers to say nothing over saying something wrong. When it comes to the way that they process information, the differences here are next word prediction versus step-by-step thinking. ChatGPT uses next word prediction. What that means is when you ask ChatGPT a question, it will analyze your input and then predict the most likely next word based on probabilities. It does this thousands of times in a second, generating an entire response one word at a time. In storytelling, for example, let's say you ask, write a short sci-fi story. ChatGPT looks at past sci-fi stories in its training data and predicts each sentence based on what it has seen before. This makes it really good for creative writing, but sometimes it prioritizes making the text sound good over being 100% factual. Weaknesses of this is that it doesn't actually reason through answers, it just sounds correct based on patterns in text. This is why ChatGPT can sometimes give incorrect math answers. It's predicting what a correct looking answer should be rather than actually solving the problem. Now, DeepSeek R1 uses step-by-step logical thinking. Like humans, DeepSeek R1 doesn't just predict the words, it actually follows a structured process for problem solving. And you'll see this in the UI of DeepSeek because often when you ask it more complicated questions, you can see its chain of thought before it actually gives you its final answer. So it's kind of taking you through what it's thinking. So instead of just guessing the next word, DeepSeek breaks down the problem into logical steps before answering. It uses chain of thought reasoning, meaning it explicitly writes out its thinking process instead of jumping straight to an answer, unlike ChatGPT. This is also partly why ChatGPT can be a lot quicker with more complicated things than DeepSeek is, but at that same time, ChatGPT is less likely to be accurate when it comes to these more logical problems. An example for both DeepSeek and ChatGPT is if you ask it a basic math question like what's 57 times 34, ChatGPT might just remember the answer from training data, whereas DeepSeek will actually go step by step the same way that a calculator does or a programmer. ChatGPT sounds smart, but it doesn't always think step by step. Another interesting difference is context handling, how much they remember. So another major difference is how much memory they have within a single conversation. ChatGPT has a larger context window, meaning it can remember a lot more of the conversation history before it starts to forget. DeepSeek has a smaller context window, meaning it's less conversational over long discussions, but more reliable in structured problem solving. So if you're writing a long story and ask ChatGPT to continue it, it will do a much better job because it remembers more of what you wrote earlier. If you're debugging code, DeepSeek R1 is better because it doesn't forget logical steps as easily. For decision making and problem solving, one of the biggest differences between these two AIs is how they approach making decisions. ChatGPT is like a chatterbox. It's designed to keep the conversation flowing, even if that means guessing an answer instead of admitting uncertainty. It always tries to say something even when it's unsure. DeepSeek is like a logical thinker. It's far more cautious about its answers, and if it doesn't know something, it's more likely to say nothing rather than guess. Now, that's not to say that ChatGPT won't admit to not knowing something. It does this a lot. But when we're talking about likelihood, you're less likely to encounter this with DeepSeek. So to kind of summarize how they think differently, ChatGPT is more of a charismatic speaker. It's good at making words flow, but sometimes will prioritize sounding smart over being right, but often is right in the end. DeepSeek, however, is like a careful mathematician. It's precise, it's structured, and it's logical, less conversational, a little bit slower. So when you're thinking which one is smarter, well, it really depends on what you're asking. For creative answers, general knowledge and human-like conversations, ChatGPT is better. For coding, math and logic-based tasks, and avoiding problems like it making things up and incorrect answers, DeepSeek will be better. And that's really where DeepSeek excels. So hopefully that answers your question of what you should use DeepSeek for. If you're ever in need of using an AI for specific tasks, then you know which one DeepSeek excels in. So when it comes to real world cases, deciding on which one you should use, if you're doing something specifically based on programming, logic or math, I would definitely suggest using DeepSeek. Outside of that, for a better user-friendly experience and a more versatile experience, I would use ChatGPT. It also allows you to use AI mixed with photos and audio and whatnot. But an advantage of DeepSeek is since it's open source, developers can customize it however they want. So if you're a developer looking to use an AI and want to customize it, DeepSeek could definitely be more suitable. Obviously, it's very early days of DeepSeek kind of having a name for itself. So when it comes to the future and what to expect from both of these, ChatGPT is expected to improve with GPT-5, making it faster, more accurate, and multimodal. So it's working with images, voice, and video, and just becoming all round better at that, and just becoming better at being versatile. Whereas DeepSeek really represents a growing trend in open source AI, meaning we could see more customizable, decentralized AI models in the future, which will definitely be really interesting. And that's kind of the summary for the differences between those two AIs, the user experience of them, and how they operate on more of a technical level, just kind of understanding the way that they think and why they behave the way that they behave. And hopefully that gives you a better idea of what to use each one for. And that's kind of it. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and give this video a like and comment for the sake of the algorithm. Check out my Instagram at El-Naggar for a behind the scenes perspective. And that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Salam.